Earth's armies crumble before the unstoppable Xion forces. Humanity faces extinction as their homeworlds fall one by one. But deep within enemy territory lies a secret that could turn the tide, an ancient weapon of unimaginable power. When Lieutenant James Cordell leads his elite team behind enemy lines, he encounters an unexpected ally, Isla, a Xion defector whose motives remain shrouded in mystery. As they race against time to activate the forgotten technology, they must face not only relentless enemies but also the dark truths about their own species. What will it cost to save humanity? And can they trust each other long enough to succeed? Subscribe now to witness the epic conclusion of this interstellar conflict. The war had lasted for 17 brutal years, though it felt like 70 to those who survived each day. Lieutenant James Cordell adjusted the weight of his plasma rifle against his shoulder, watching through the reinforced viewport as the transport ship pierced the upper atmosphere of Sirius. Below stretched endless crimson plains dotted with crystalline formations that refracted light into dazzling displays, beautiful, deadly, and completely hostile to human life. His comm unit buzzed with static before Major Harris's voice cut through. "Cordell, you know what's at stake here. If we don't find that weapon, Earth is finished." The mission briefing had been brief, yet chilling. Deep beneath the Xion capital city lay remnants of an ancient civilization, their technology far surpassing anything humanity had developed. Intelligence suggested these ancestors had created a device capable of manipulating quantum fields, a weapon that could theoretically collapse entire star systems. The problem? It lay buried beneath 50 kilometers of reinforced Xion defenses, guarded by automated systems that hadn't failed in millennia. And then there was the matter of activation protocols, completely unknown to human scientists. Cordell's team consisted of 12 of the best soldiers Earth Command could offer, each handpicked for their unique skills. Sergeant Marks, their demolitions expert, already prepared charges for potential obstacles. Corporal Vega monitored multiple sensor arrays, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. In the corner, Private Chen, no, wait, let's call him Private Davis, maintained their cloaking systems, ensuring their approach remained undetected. Each member carried the weight of billions on their shoulders, knowing this mission represented Earth's final gamble. What troubled Cordell most wasn't the overwhelming odds or the complexity of the objective. It was the presence of Isla, the Xion defector who had appeared 3 days ago with precise coordinates and cryptic warnings. She claimed knowledge of safe passage through the outer defenses, but refused to explain why she betrayed her people. Her silver eyes reflected the ship's dim lighting, unreadable yet intense. Every instinct screamed to distrust her, yet without her guidance, the mission would fail before it began. As the transport descended through turbulent atmospheric currents, Cordell reviewed tactical maps projected onto his visor. The first obstacle loomed large, the Cerulean Shield, a massive energy barrier surrounding the capital. According to Isla, there existed a maintenance tunnel still operational from the ancient civilization's time, but accessing it required navigating through active Xion patrol routes. The timing had to be perfect. One wrong move, and the entire Xion fleet would descend upon them. His thoughts drifted to Earth, remembering the blue skies and green fields he might never see again. The war had transformed his home planet into something unrecognizable, cities reduced to rubble, oceans rising from climate manipulation attacks, and billions displaced. This mission represented more than military strategy. It embodied humanity's desperate fight for survival against an enemy they barely understood. As the ship neared its drop point, Cordell tightened his grip on his weapon, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The transport ship's stealth systems hummed softly as they approached the designated insertion point. Outside, the crimson landscape stretched endlessly, broken only by jagged crystal spires that reached toward the twin suns, casting their harsh light. Isla stood near the exit ramp, her posture tense but controlled. Unlike typical Xion warriors clad in heavy exoskeletal armor, she wore simple black combat gear that highlighted her lithe frame. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed faintly, betraying her nervousness. "You sure about this route?" Cordell asked, his voice carrying both skepticism and authority. He trusted his team implicitly, but trusting an enemy defector required swallowing considerable pride. Isla turned, her silver eyes meeting his. The maintenance tunnel hasn't been used in generations. My people believe it cursed, haunted by the ancients who built it. Superstition works in our favor. Mark snorted from his position near the explosives cache. Ghosts. Great. Just what we needed. Despite his sarcastic tone, the sergeant checked his equipment one final time, ensuring everything functioned perfectly. Vega's sensors suddenly pinged with activity. Multiple contacts approaching from the northwest. Looks like a standard patrol pattern. Her fingers danced across holographic displays, adjusting their course slightly to avoid detection. Isla studied the readings, nodding slowly. They'll pass within 200 meters of our position. We need to maintain absolute silence for the next 7 minutes. Her voice carried an authority that demanded attention. The team settled into practice stillness, each member focused on their assigned tasks. Cordell watched Isla carefully, noting how her bioluminescent patterns shifted subtly with her emotions. When she noticed his scrutiny, she raised an eyebrow. You humans have an expression. Curiosity killed the cat. I suggest focusing on your mission rather than studying me. Before Cordell could respond, the ground trembled slightly as the Xion patrol passed nearby. Through the viewport, they observed the distinctive armored figures moving with mechanical precision. Their weapons bristled with energy, ready to annihilate any threat. For several tense minutes, the only sounds came from the ship's systems and the distant rumble of Xion footsteps. When the all-clear signal finally came, Isla led them toward the maintenance tunnel entrance. Hidden beneath centuries of crystalline growth, the ancient structure revealed itself reluctantly. Using specialized tools, Davis carefully removed the obstructing crystals while Vega monitored for any signs of detection. The entrance yawned open, revealing darkness so complete it seemed almost alive. This is where faith becomes crucial, Isla whispered, activating her wrist-mounted light source. The beam illuminated intricate carvings along the walls, symbols that pulsed faintly in response to their presence. The ancients protected their secrets well. These glyphs will alert us to any traps ahead. Cordell motioned for Marks to take point, his expertise in dealing with ancient booby traps proving invaluable. As they progressed deeper, the air grew colder, carrying a strange metallic tang. The walls occasionally shimmered, suggesting hidden mechanisms still active despite millennia of neglect. Isla moved confidently through the corridors, occasionally pausing to examine particular symbols that seemed familiar to her. Their progress halted abruptly when Vega's sensors detected movement ahead. Multiple contacts, faster than expected, approached their position. Isla's markings flared brightly. Automated defense drones. They must have detected our intrusion. Can you disable them? Cordell asked, already positioning his team for combat. Instead of answering verbally, Isla placed her palm against a nearby panel. Her markings synchronized with the wall symbols, causing the entire corridor to hum with energy. The approaching drones slowed, their targeting systems confused by the interference. I can buy us time, but we need to move quickly. The system won't stay confused forever. The team pressed forward, their movements quick yet careful. Behind them, the sound of frustrated drones echoed through the ancient halls. Cordell couldn't help but glance back at Isla, wondering how someone supposedly working against her own kind could possess such intimate knowledge of their defenses. Her motives remained as enigmatic as the ancient technology surrounding them. The corridor stretched before them like a living organism, its walls pulsing faintly with an inner light that seemed to breathe in sync with their footsteps. Each step echoed unnaturally, as if the very air resisted their presence. Isla moved with practiced ease, her movements fluid yet cautious, occasionally pausing to examine specific glyphs carved into the walls. These symbols, ancient and alien, appeared to respond to her touch, glowing brighter as she traced their outlines. This place is alive, Vega whispered, her voice tinged with both awe and unease. Her sensors detected fluctuations in energy fields that defied conventional readings. It's not just machinery. It's something more. Cordell nodded, his hand never straying far from his weapon. Focus on the mission. We don't have time to admire the scenery. Yet even he couldn't deny the sense of being watched, as though countless eyes lingered just beyond perception. The air carried a strange charge, making the hairs on his neck stand on end. Marx, ever practical, checked his explosives pack. If this place is as old as they say, it's a miracle anything still works. These ancients knew what they were doing. Isla glanced back, her silver eyes reflecting the dim light. You humans think in terms of years or centuries. The builders of this place thought in millennia. Their technology was designed to endure beyond your comprehension. She paused at an intersection where 3 corridors diverged, each marked with different symbols. After a moment's consideration, she chose the middle path. This way leads to the primary access point. But beware, the deeper we go, the more active the defenses become. True to her warning, the next chamber they entered proved far more challenging. The floor shifted beneath their feet, panels sliding apart to reveal deadly spikes that retracted just as quickly. Marx cursed under his breath, carefully marking safe paths with luminescent markers. Davis monitored their movements, ensuring the team stayed within the narrow margins of safety. What are these traps trying to do? Vega asked, her voice tight with tension. They're not random, there's a pattern here. Testing for intelligence, Isla replied. The ancients valued wisdom above all else. Only those deemed worthy could proceed. She gestured toward a massive door covered in intricate carvings. Beyond this lies the first activation chamber. But entry requires solving a puzzle, one I cannot help you with. Cordell studied the door, noting how the carvings seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Why can't you help us? Her markings pulsed with irritation. Because my people destroyed most records of this place. What little I know comes from forbidden texts, and even those contain gaps. She stepped back, allowing the team to approach the challenge. For nearly 20 minutes, the group worked together, deciphering the complex patterns. Vega's analytical mind proved invaluable, identifying mathematical sequences hidden within the designs. Marx contributed his knowledge of mechanical systems, while Cordell maintained vigilance against potential threats. Finally, the door groaned open, revealing a chamber filled with floating holographic displays. "Welcome to the Ancients' Library," Isla said softly, her voice carrying a hint of reverence. "Here lies the knowledge needed to activate the weapon. But be warned, understanding it may come at a cost." The chamber hummed with an otherworldly energy, the holographic displays casting eerie shadows across the walls. Each floating image contained layers of information, written in a language that seemed to twist and writhe like living organisms. Vega approached cautiously, her fingers hovering over the nearest display. These aren't just symbols, they're algorithms, equations that defy our current understanding of physics. Cordell watched as the data streams responded to Vega's proximity, rearranging themselves into patterns that seemed almost welcoming. "Can you make sense of any of it?" She hesitated, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Parts of it align with quantum mechanics, but others, they suggest concepts we haven't even theorized. It's like trying to read a book written in multiple dimensions." Isla moved to another display, her bioluminescent markings synchronizing with the holograms. The ancients believed true knowledge required sacrifice. To understand their technology, you must offer something in return. Sacrifice. Marx asked, his voice sharp. What kind of sacrifice? Her expression remained unreadable. That depends on the individual. For some, it might be memories. For others, emotions. Or perhaps something more fundamental. She turned to face the group. Are you willing to pay the price? The question hung heavy in the air. Cordell exchanged glances with his team, each member weighing the implications. They had known the mission would demand everything, but this went beyond physical danger. It touched something primal, something deeply personal. I'll go first, Vega volunteered, stepping closer to the central display. The holograms swirled around her, forming a cocoon of light. For several tense minutes, she stood motionless, her eyes closed as if deep in meditation. When the light finally faded, she staggered back, visibly shaken. What did you see? Cordell asked, steadying her. Vega's voice trembled. I saw possibilities. Futures where we succeed, futures where we fail. The knowledge is overwhelming. But I understand part of the activation sequence now. One by one, the team approached the displays, each member experiencing their own version of the test. Marks emerged with haunted eyes, muttering about battles long past. Davis clutched his head, overwhelmed by visions of technology beyond comprehension. Even Cordell submitted to the process, feeling fragments of his identity slip away as new understanding flooded his mind. When they regrouped, their expressions reflected both triumph and loss. They had gained crucial insights into the weapon's operation, but at a cost none could fully articulate. Isla observed them silently, her markings dimmer than before. The hardest choices lie ahead, she said finally. Knowledge alone won't save you. You must decide whether to wield this power and how far you're willing to go to achieve victory. As the team prepared to leave the chamber, a low rumble echoed through the ancient structure. The walls shimmered with renewed intensity, and the holographic displays flickered erratically.
Aila's marking flared brightly, signaling danger.
We're not alone. Before anyone could react, shadowy figures materialized from the darkness. Xion warriors clad in stealth armor, their weapons trained on the intruders. Leading them was Commander Zyyrk, a towering figure whose exoskeleton bristled with advanced weaponry. His voice boomed through the chamber, cold and commanding. You've trespassed far enough, traitor. Isla stepped forward, her hands raised in a gesture of peace. Zyyrk, listen to me. This weapon threatens us all. If activated, it could destroy everything, including Cirrus. Zyrk's visor gleamed as he tilted his head. And yet you lead these humans here, knowing full well their intentions. Your betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. He gestured to his troops, who tightened their formation. Surrender now, or die where you stand. Cordell signaled for his team to maintain defensive positions, calculating their chances. Outnumbered and outgunned, escape seemed impossible. But Isla's next words surprised everyone. You don't understand, Zyyrk. I didn't bring them here to activate the weapon. I brought them to stop it. The commander's stance shifted slightly, betraying uncertainty. Explain yourself. Isla's markings pulsed with urgency. Our leaders seek to use this device to annihilate humanity, believing it will ensure our dominance. But the ancients designed it differently, as a failsafe, not a weapon. Activating it without proper safeguards could unravel reality itself. Zyyrk hesitated, clearly torn between duty and doubt. Seizing the moment, Cordell addressed the Xion commander directly. We have no desire to harm your people. Our goal is survival, nothing more. If there's another way to end this war, we're willing to listen. For a tense minute, silence filled the chamber. Then Zyyrk lowered his weapon slightly. Prove your claim. Show me evidence of this failsafe. Relief washed over Isla's face as she nodded. There's a secondary archive deeper within the facility. It contains records that will confirm everything I've said. The standoff broke, though tension remained thick. Zyyrk ordered his troops to accompany the group, ostensibly as escorts, but effectively as guards. As they moved through the ancient corridors, Cordell couldn't shake the feeling that alliances were shifting faster than he could track. Trust, already fragile, now balanced on a knife's edge. The journey to the secondary archive tested the uneasy truce at every turn. Zyrk's warriors maintained a tight perimeter around the group, their weapons never lowering completely. Isla walked between the two factions, her bioluminescent markings dimmed to near invisibility, a sign of her anxiety. Cordell noticed how she occasionally glanced at Zyyrk, as if seeking approval or understanding, but the Xion commander remained stoic, his visor hiding any hint of emotion. This changes nothing, Zyyrk finally spoke, his voice echoing through the corridor. Even if your claims are true, traitor, you have broken sacred oaths. Your betrayal cannot go unpunished. Isla stopped abruptly, turning to face him. I didn't betray my people, I tried to save them. Blind obedience to war will destroy us all. Can't you see that? ZYRK's armored fist clenched, but he said nothing. Instead, he gestured for the group to continue moving. The tension crackled like static electricity, and Cordell felt the weight of leadership pressing down on him. His team trusted him implicitly, yet here they were, caught in a web of interstellar politics far beyond their control. Vega broke the silence with a question directed at ZYRK. If this failsafe exists, why hasn't your government disclosed it? Why pursue total annihilation instead of finding another way? The Xion commander's response was cold and measured. Because fear is power. My leaders believe humanity must be eradicated to secure our future. They do not care about the cost. He paused, glancing at Isla. And now, thanks to her actions, we risk destabilizing everything. Marx muttered under his breath, sounds like someone needs a better PR department. Despite the gravity of the situation, a few members of the team exchanged faint smiles. Humor, however dark, had always been their coping mechanism. But the levity faded quickly as they approached the entrance to the secondary archive. Unlike the previous chambers, this one radiated an almost oppressive energy, its doorway sealed by a shimmering barrier that seemed alive, pulsating rhythmically like a heartbeat. Davis immediately began scanning the barrier, his fingers dancing over holographic interfaces. It's reading something. Not exactly energy, not exactly matter. More like thought. Isla stepped closer, her markings brightening again. This is a consciousness gate. It won't open unless it deems us worthy. Worthy, Cordell repeated, frustration creeping into his tone. We don't have time for philosophical debates. Then perhaps you shouldn't have come. Isla shot back, her voice sharp. The ancients didn't build these systems to be convenient. They built them to protect knowledge from those who would misuse it. ZYRK intervened before the argument could escalate.
Enough.
If what you say is true, then prove it. Open the gate. Isla hesitated, clearly reluctant. Finally, she placed both hands against the barrier, closing her eyes as her markings synchronized with the pulsing light. The air grew heavier, charged with anticipation. For several long moments, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like shattering glass, the barrier dissolved, revealing a vast chamber filled with floating crystalline structures that refracted light into dazzling patterns. Welcome to the truth, Isla whispered as they stepped inside. The archive chamber felt less like a repository of knowledge and more like a living entity. The crystalline structures floated freely, each containing fragments of data that pulsed with inner light. As the group entered, the crystals rearranged themselves, forming pathways that led deeper into the chamber. Isla moved cautiously, her steps deliberate as though navigating sacred ground. These crystals contain the memories of the ancients, she explained. Not just their technology, but their philosophy, their warnings, their hopes for the future. Vega approached one of the crystals, her sensors lighting up with excitement. This isn't just information, it's experience. It's like stepping into their minds. She reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing the surface of the crystal. Instantly, images flooded her vision. Star systems collapsing, civilizations rising and falling, wars fought across dimensions. Cordell watched her carefully, noting how her expression shifted from awe to horror. What are you seeing? Vega pulled her hand back, visibly shaken. They weren't conquerors. They were guardians. This weapon wasn't designed to destroy. It was meant to reset. To wipe clean entire realities when balance was lost. ZYRK frowned behind his visor. Reset? Explain. Isla took over, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. The ancients believed in cycles: birth, growth, decay, rebirth. When a civilization became too destructive, they activated the failsafe to erase it and start anew. But they also left instructions for survivors to rebuild, to learn from past mistakes. That knowledge is here, encoded in these crystals. Marx crossed his arms, skepticism evident. So let me get this straight. We're supposed to trust some ancient alien self-help book over our own instincts. No offense, but I'm not big on cosmic life lessons. It's not about trusting them, Vega countered. It's about understanding the stakes. If we activate the failsafe without following their protocols, we risk destroying everything. Not just Earth, not just Sirius, but possibly the entire galaxy. The weight of her words settled over the group like a leaden blanket. Even ZYRK seemed affected, his posture stiffening as he processed the implications. If my leaders knew this, they'd still use it. Isla finished for him. Because they believe survival justifies any means. But that's the same mindset that doomed the ancients. Power unchecked leads only to ruin. Cordell stepped forward, addressing both Isla and ZYRK. Then we need to make sure humanity, and your people, don't repeat their mistakes. Whatever happens next, we do it together. No more secrets, no more half-truths. For the first time, ZYRK lowered his weapon entirely. Agreed. But know this. If you deceive us, there will be consequences. As the fragile alliance solidified, the group began accessing the crystals, piecing together the ancients' final message. Each fragment revealed more about the failsafe's true nature and the monumental responsibility that came with wielding it. With newfound clarity came division. The team split into pairs to analyze different sections of the archive, each pair uncovering pieces of the puzzle. Cordell partnered with Isla, their dynamics strained but functional. Marks and Davis focused on decoding technical schematics, while Vega worked alongside ZYRK, bridging the gap between human and Xion perspectives. You humans are so linear, Isla remarked as they examined a particularly complex crystal. You think in terms of cause and effect, but the ancients saw reality as a web. Every action ripples outward, affecting countless others. Cordell nodded absently, his mind racing. That's why activating the failsafe without proper safeguards could tear apart that web. But how do we ensure we're doing it right? How do we even begin? Isla pointed to a sequence of glyphs embedded within the crystal. These represent key points in the failsafe's activation process. Think of them as checkpoints. If we follow them precisely, we minimize collateral damage. But what constitutes collateral damage? Cordell pressed. Entire planets? Civilizations? Her expression darkened. Possibly. The ancients prioritized preservation of potential over preservation of form. In other words, they valued the possibility of new life over existing life. The revelation hit hard. Cordell stepped back, running a hand through his hair. So we're talking about genocide, plain and simple, just delayed. Not necessarily, Vega interjected, joining them with ZYRK in tow. Some of the crystals suggest alternative methods, ways to stabilize the failsafe without triggering a full reset. It's risky, but it might work. Marks chimed in via comlink. Risky how? Are we talking cross your fingers and hope risky, or blow up the universe risky? Vega sighed. Somewhere in between. But the point is we have options. We don't have to follow the original plan blindly. The debate continued late into what passed for night in the underground facility. Exhaustion crept in, but none dared rest until they had a clear path forward. Slowly, painfully, a consensus emerged. They would attempt to modify the failsafe's activation sequence, guided by the ancients' principles but adapted to their current reality. As dawn broke outside, or whatever passed for dawn beneath Sirius's crimson skies, the team prepared to leave the archive. Their resolve hardened, though shadows lingered in their eyes. The hardest part lay ahead, convincing their respective leaders to abandon old grudges and embrace a shared future. The journey back through the ancient facility felt different this time, charged with purpose rather than desperation. Armed with knowledge from the archive, the group moved with renewed determination, though the path ahead remained fraught with peril. The crystalline corridors seemed to acknowledge their transformation, the walls glowing brighter as if encouraging their progress. Isla took the lead once more, her bioluminescent markings pulsing steadily. "We're running out of time," she warned. "My people will have detected our presence by now. Reinforcements are likely already en route." Cordell checked his weapon, ensuring it was fully charged. "Then we'll have to move faster. ZYRK, can you delay them?" The Xion commander hesitated before nodding. "I can create diversions, but it won't hold them indefinitely." We need to reach the failsafe chamber before they mobilize a full-scale assault. Vega consulted her sensors, mapping their route. The chamber is 3 levels above us. There's an elevator shaft, but it's heavily guarded. Alternative routes are slower but less risky. Less risky isn't an option, Cordell decided. We take the elevator and fight our way through if we have to. The team approached the elevator cautiously, finding it surrounded by automated defense turrets. Marks grinned, cracking his knuckles. Finally, something I can blow up. Working quickly, he planted charges on the turret's power conduits while Davis monitored their cloaking systems. Isla kept watch, her sharp eyes scanning for any sign of movement. When the charges detonated, the resulting explosion disabled the turrets, allowing the group to secure the area. Inside the elevator, tension mounted as they ascended. The hum of machinery filled the confined space, broken only by the occasional beep of Vega's sensor array. Multiple contacts converging on our position, she reported. Looks like ZYRK's diversions aren't holding. Then we improvise, Cordell replied, tightening his grip on his rifle. As the door slid open, they were met with a hail of plasma fire. The team returned fire instinctively, their movements precise and coordinated after months of combat training. ZYRK led a counteroffensive, his exoskeleton-enhanced strength making him a formidable opponent. Together, they pushed forward, clearing each hallway systematically. Despite the odds, their combined efforts began to turn the tide. For the first time, humans and Xions fought side by side, not as enemies, but as allies united by a common goal. Reaching the failsafe chamber required navigating through what could only be described as a labyrinth of death. The final stretch was a gauntlet of traps, automated defenses, and environmental hazards designed to test even the most resilient intruders. Each step felt heavier than the last, not just from physical exertion, but from the weight of their mission. The chamber itself was unlike anything they had encountered before. A massive circular platform dominated the space, surrounded by towering columns that pulsed with energy. At its center floated a crystalline core, its surface etched with intricate patterns that shifted constantly. This was the heart of the failsafe, a device capable of reshaping reality itself. Isla approached the core cautiously, her markings dimming in reverence. "This is it," she whispered. "The source of everything." Vega immediately began setting up equipment to interface with the core, her hands moving with practiced precision. "We need to upload the modified activation sequence. If we get this wrong, there's no second chance." Marks and Davis worked together to establish a secure perimeter, knowing reinforcements would arrive soon. ZYRK stood guard at the entrance, his weapons trained on the corridor beyond. The sound of distant footsteps echoed through the chamber, growing louder with each passing second. "How much time do we need?" Cordell asked, his voice tight with urgency. "At least 10 minutes," Vega replied without looking up. "Maybe more, depending on how responsive the system is." "We don't have 10 minutes, ZYRK growled, firing a warning shot down the corridor. "They're coming." Cordell turned to Isla. "Can you speed up the process? Anything you can do to buy us time?" She hesitated, then nodded. Placing her hands on the core, she closed her eyes, her markings synchronizing with the shifting patterns. The core responded, its glow intensifying. "I'm trying to stabilize the system. It should give us a few extra moments." The battle outside intensified as Xion forces launched a coordinated assault. Explosions rocked the chamber, sending shockwaves through the air. Yet despite the chaos, Vega remained focused, her fingers flying across holographic displays. "Almost there, just a little longer." Cordell joined ZYRK at the entrance, providing covering fire as the enemy advanced. Their ammunition dwindled rapidly, forcing them to rely on precision over volume. Every shot counted, every moment stretched into eternity. Finally, Vega's voice broke through the calm link.
Done.
Initiating modified sequence now. The core flared brightly, its energy spreading outward in waves. The chamber trembled as the failsafe activated, its effects rippling through the very fabric of reality. Outside, the sounds of battle faded, replaced by an eerie silence. As the failsafe stabilized, its influence extended far beyond the chamber. Across Cirrus, Xion forces halted their advance, confused and disoriented. On distant planets, both human and Xion civilians experienced strange phenomena, visions of possible futures, memories of lives never lived. The weapon hadn't destroyed, it had altered perception, forcing both species to confront the consequences of their actions. Back in the chamber, the team regrouped, exhaustion written across their faces. Isla leaned against the core, her markings flickering weakly. "It's done," she murmured. "The failsafe has reset the balance, not by erasing, but by showing both sides the truth." Vega ran diagnostics on her equipment, confirming the changes. The quantum fields are stabilizing. Whatever damage might have been caused, it's been mitigated. Zyark removed his helmet, revealing a face marked by years of conflict. "And my people? What will they see?" "Everything," Isla replied softly. "Their leaders' decisions, the cost of war, the potential for peace. Whether they choose to act on it is up to them." Cordell stepped forward, addressing the group. "This isn't the end. It's a beginning. We've shown that cooperation is possible. Now we need to prove it can last." Outside, the crimson skies of Cirrus began to clear, twin suns casting light over a battlefield now eerily quiet. Soldiers from both sides lowered their weapons, staring at one another with newfound understanding. The failsafe hadn't ended the war, it had changed the rules. The aftermath of the failsafe's activation left an eerie calm across Cirrus. Soldiers from both sides stood frozen, their weapons lowered as fragments of shared memories and alternate realities lingered in their minds. For many, it was too much to process: the weight of countless lives lost, the futility of endless conflict, and the haunting possibility of a different future where cooperation triumphed over conquest. Cordell surveyed the scene from the chamber's entrance, his heart heavy with the knowledge that peace wasn't guaranteed. "This isn't victory," he said quietly. "It's a chance, a fragile one. Whether we seize it or squander it is up to us." Isla joined him, her silver eyes reflecting the twin suns now visible through dissipating clouds. "You humans have a saying, the truth will set you free. But freedom comes at a cost. My people won't easily accept what they've seen. Some will fight to deny it." Zyark nodded grimly. "And some among your kind will do the same." Fear and hatred run deep on both sides. He turned to address his warriors, who had gathered nearby. "We came here to destroy. Instead, we've been shown another path. It's not the one our leaders chose, but perhaps it's the one we need." Marks approached, still clutching his rifle though no immediate threat remained. "So what now? Do we just shake hands and call it a day?" Cordell shook his head. "Not yet. First, we secure this facility. Then we send a message, to Earth, to Xion Command. This weapon exists, but it's not a tool for destruction anymore. It's proof that there's another way forward." Vega stepped forward, holding a data crystal containing the modified activation sequence. "We can use this as leverage. Show them that escalation only leads to mutual ruin. If nothing else, it buys us time to negotiate." The group worked quickly, dismantling key components of the failsafe to prevent unauthorized access while leaving enough intact to demonstrate its power. Isla guided them through the process, her expertise invaluable despite her obvious fatigue. As they worked, Zyark's warriors began organizing their own forces, creating a buffer zone around the facility to deter any aggressive retaliation. By the time night fell over Cirrus, or what passed for night beneath its crimson skies, the chamber had been secured. Exhausted but resolute, the team gathered one last time before parting ways. "We've done what we can," Cordell said, addressing the group. "But the real work begins now. Rebuilding trust, forging alliances, finding common ground. It won't be easy. But if we don't try, all of this was for nothing." Isla placed a hand on his shoulder, her markings glowing faintly. "You've given my people hope, a reason to question the path we've been on. That alone is worth fighting for." As dawn broke over Cirrus, the first signs of dissent emerged. Reports filtered in from both human and Xion factions, Some commanders refused to stand down, dismissing the visions induced by the failsafe as illusions or propaganda. Others demanded answers, questioning the motives of those who had activated the device. Back at the facility, tensions flared between ZYRK's loyalists and more hawkish elements within the Xion ranks. A high-ranking officer named Kale arrived with reinforcements, his exoskeleton gleaming menacingly under the rising suns. "Commander ZYRK," he barked, his voice dripping with disdain, "you've betrayed our cause. Surrender now, or face consequences." ZYRK stood firm, his warriors forming a protective line around the humans. "I haven't betrayed anyone. I've acted in the best interest of our people, and yours. The failsafe has shown us the truth. Continuing this war serves no purpose but extinction." Kale sneered, raising his weapon. "Truth? You speak of treason cloaked in idealism. Stand aside, or die with these invaders." Before violence could erupt, Isla stepped forward, her bioluminescent markings blazing brightly. "Enough. This ends here. If you attack, you doom us all, not just humanity, but every living being in this galaxy." Her words carried an authority that silenced even Kale momentarily. Behind her, Vega activated a holographic display showing real-time data from the failsafe's residual effects. "Look at this. The quantum fields are still stabilizing. Another conflict could destabilize them completely. Is that what you want?" Kale hesitated, glancing at his troops. The uncertainty spreading among his ranks was palpable. Finally, he lowered his weapon slightly. "Very well. But know this. If your so-called peace fails, there will be no second chances." With the immediate threat neutralized, the group focused on broadcasting their findings to both Earth Command and Xion leadership. Using the facility's ancient communication systems, they transmitted detailed reports of the failsafe's capabilities and the risks of further aggression. The message ended with a stark warning: "The choice is yours. Continue down this path, and we all perish. Choose peace, and we may yet survive." The response from both sides was mixed but promising. Earth Command issued a temporary ceasefire, ordering all military units to hold position while diplomats scrambled to assess the situation. Among the Xion leadership, debates raged. Some argued for renewed attacks, while others advocated for negotiation based on the revelations brought forth by the failsafe. Meanwhile, the team worked tirelessly to maintain order at the facility. Supplies were running low, and fatigue threatened to undermine their resolve. Yet morale remained surprisingly high, bolstered by the sense that they had achieved something extraordinary. Isla spent hours interfacing with the failsafe's core, attempting to extract additional data that might aid future negotiations. Her connection to the device grew stronger each day, her bioluminescent markings syncing perfectly with its pulsating energy. "There's more here than we realized," she told Cordell during one such session. "The ancients left behind blueprints, not just for technology, but for coexistence. If we can decipher them, we might find a way to rebuild without repeating past mistakes." Vega assisted her, poring over complex algorithms and mathematical models. "It's like they anticipated this moment," she marveled. "Every piece of information feels tailored to guide us toward a better future." Marks and Davis focused on fortifying the facility, ensuring it could withstand any potential counterattacks. Their humor remained intact, providing much-needed levity amidst the tension. "If we survive this, I'm retiring to a beach somewhere," Marks joked. "No more aliens, no more wars, just sand and sunshine." Cordell watched them work, pride swelling in his chest. These individuals, once strangers united only by duty, had become something greater, a family bound by shared sacrifice and hope. "We're making history," he said aloud. "Whether anyone remembers us or not, we've changed the course of two civilizations." Weeks passed, and the fragile ceasefire held. Diplomatic envoys from both Earth and Cirrus arrived at the facility, eager to witness the failsafe firsthand. Under Isla's guidance, they toured the ancient chambers, marveling at the technology and the wisdom it represented. Slowly but surely, conversations shifted from accusations to collaboration. For Cordell, the transition was bittersweet. His mission was complete, but the scars of war ran deep. As he prepared to leave Cirrus alongside his team, he found himself reflecting on everything they had endured. "We didn't win the war," he told Isla during their final meeting. "But maybe we won something better, a chance to start over." She smiled faintly, her markings dimming as if savoring the moment. "You humans have a remarkable capacity for resilience. Don't lose that. Keep fighting, for understanding, for unity, for life itself." As their transport ship ascended into orbit, Cordell gazed out at the crimson planet below. Though battered and scarred, it shimmered with promise, a testament to the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream of peace. "Remember," the narrator concludes, "this story is far from over. The battle for survival continues, shaped by choices made in moments of crisis. Will humanity and the Xions rise above their differences, or will fear drive them back to war? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the courage of a few can change the destiny of many." If you enjoyed this tale of interstellar conflict and redemption, subscribe now for more thrilling adventures across the stars.